Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's time to find a home for Alex Bregman on this one. I guess we'll just start off with the Houston Astros. I'm kind of surprised that they weren't able to get a deal done. But yeah, they do need a third baseman. We'll look at it in a second. But before we jump into it, Blake, when it comes to Alex Bregman, where do you think he's gonna land, I guess? I don't want you to make a prediction, but some of the teams that off the top of the head, and then second to that, how much term do you think he's getting?
I think he's 30 years old. He's probably gonna this is gonna be his last contract, right? So he's probably gonna get I'd say probably a 6, 7 year deal, somewhere in that range. There's a lot of teams that could use an Alex Bregman, but there's also a lot of teams that Alex Bregman wouldn't go to. I kind of would narrow it down to the Dodgers could maybe use the Yankees could use a guy like Bregman. The Jays, I feel like the Tigers would be a good fit for him, an up and coming young core, and add a guy. Obviously, you got the AJ Hinch connection there as well from the Astros days. So that's just kind of be a great fit. But I'm with you too. I'm kind of surprised. They didn't get a deal done with Bregman. They locked up Altuve long term. They still have a very good core in place, and he's a huge part of that team. He's man the hot corner for almost 10 years now. So it is it would be very odd seeing him in a uniform other than the Astros.
Yep. Well, let's jump into it. This is where the Astros stand right now. Um, they have Shea Wickham at third base. It hasn't played one inning of Major League Baseball up to this point. Obviously, you do have Mauricio Dubon, who's kind of their utility man. But with that said, yeah, I mean, when I think Alex Bregman, I think the Houston Astros. So I'm very surprised that they weren't able to get it done once again. But I don't think that it's the door's closed either.
Right.
I think that potentially he's just testing the market, trying to gauge where his market is, also use teams to get the cost up. But maybe the Astros are going, we've already locked up Jose Altuve. They do need some pitching. They already have some young stars in Kyle Tucker and Jordan Alvarez. Uh, they can kind of supplement their roster within, and then also to go out and maybe take that. What do you think he's going to get? 25 million. So you can take that and split it into two players
Right.
potentially. So they do need a first baseman. John Singleton obviously isn't going to get it done, day in and day out. So they'll be in the first base market. They failed with that Jose Abreu
Mm-hmm.
contract, so I think that potentially they're looking at that money that they could potentially spend on Bregman and go put it into two players. Um, but on the free agency market, there's nobody close to
No.
Alex Bregman's, you know, caliber on the free agent market. Maybe if you're going to say Willie Adames moving over to third base,
Right.
but he's going to cost you a pretty penny as well. So, um, again, I think that when I think Astros, I think Altuve Bregman at
Yeah.
this point.
Yeah. No,
So,
I'm with you. It would be nice to see him go back to the Braves, but or sorry, the Astros. But some tells me that he's going to be in a different uniform next season.
all right. Well, one team he might be playing for, like you said, is the Detroit Tigers. This is a very young team. Obviously, got hot at the back half of the year. They have a ton of money to play with. I guess we can go check that out real quick. They're really just paying Baez, Maeda, and Maeda's only for another year.
Yep.
And then Colt Keith was a pre-arbitration deal.
Yep.
So they have nobody to pay. I mean, Tariq Skubal is coming up soon, so they need to figure that out. Um, but outside of that, I mean, they need a guy. They have plenty of money. I
Mhm.
mean, what's the number right now? They're looking at about 130 million to play with. This might be the year that they do it. They don't need the pitching. The pitching's already good. So it's time to go bolster up that offense. And right now they have Jace Young, brother of Um, Young from Texas, right?
Right.
So,
Yep.
um, yeah, maybe they have all their stock into him and gonna see what happens. But also, you have that AJ Hinch connection. He was his
Yep.
manager
Yep.
when they won the World Series the first time. Um, he grew up with AJ Hinch, pretty much in the Major League Baseball. So I think that obviously you start putting the dots, trying to draw the line between the dots here, and it could be a perfect fit, but I can also see them going in another direction completely. And again, supplementing this roster with multiple pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm looking at that shortstop position. I'm almost going, hey, maybe it's better to go get a Adames,
Right.
right? Um, Outfield, they can use some help there as well. I mean, Parker Meadows was fine last year, but you know, nine homers, nine stolen bases with a 244 average and a 310 OBP is just not going to get it done. So,
Right.
um, Torkelson, you got to wait that one out. He was your 1-1 draft pick.
Yep.
But outside of that, they could use help in the left side of the infield and they can use help in the outfield. So, um, I think their thing is just getting more depth. I mean, we look at their bench, they need depth. This is not a good bench. So, what do you think about Alex Bregman going to the
Yeah,
Tigers
just
potentially?
sidebar here. Is very interesting seeing Javi Baez on a bench role for how much money they're paying him. That's crazy to me. But you got to field the best team, and right now, him on the bench gives you the best chance to win, right? But you get a chance to put Bregman in this lineup, it would be it'd be unreal. It would just lengthen everybody. They don't have a guy in this lineup. They got a lot of good young coming up and coming players. Pardon me. There's no guy. Bregman instantly in that middle of the lineup, and he's a dog. I mean, he's been a great defender at third base his whole career. And you you don't get a chance to add a lot of Alex Bregmans. These guys don't come around very often, right? So whenever you get a chance to get a guy like that, I think it'd be very hard to pass up on.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to your favorite team, the Toronto Blue Jays. And this one's interesting to me just because, yes, they could use Alex Bregman on that left side of the infield. They need to go get somebody to supplement this offense. It just was one of the worst in the league last year. Obviously, they traded some guys out. Again, depth. You're trying to create depth, right? This team on paper, the pitching staff's good enough. You have Gosman, you have Barrios. Bowden Francis was nails in the back half part of the season last year. Chris Bassett's been a dude for the past 5 seasons now. So, you're looking at the Blue Jays and you're going, okay, we need to add around Bo and Vlad. Okay. Then I step back and I go, well, Bo and Vlad, they're free agents in a year, and they haven't locked either of them up. So when you're trying to go draw a guy like Alex Bregman, and I know there's the George Springer, again, trying to draw the dots from Houston, right? We did an AJ Hinch with Detroit. Now George Springer's over here with Toronto. Maybe there's a little bit of connection there. I'm looking at this as okay, say you go get Bregman, but what if you don't ink up Guerrero and you don't ink up Bichette, and now you're left with a 35-year-old George Springer, and then at that point a 32-year-old Alex Bregman, and there's not much around it, and there's not much coming up, at least from what we've seen.
Right.
I mean, what's your take on that?
It's a very educated um analysis on the Jays where they're at right now. They're in a tough spot. Dalton Varsho's not going to be ready to start the season. He just had off-season shoulder surgery. George Springer was awful last year. Vlad Guerrero had zero protection and still hit 323. So obviously, you add a Bregman to this lineup, it helps for sure. But the fact that the Jays haven't even there hasn't even been a rumor that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or Boba Shed has rejected an offer for them. That's very concerning to me. The fact that there hasn't been anything from the Jays that could be good. Maybe it's just not getting leaked out, but The Jays are the interest kings every single season, it seems, with these guys. Yeah, it's very risky to sign a guy like Bregman if you're the Jays. You mentioned his age, and if those two guys don't come back, you're left with a pretty aging team. They did a good job at this deadline of selling off pieces and adding 12 prospects into their top 30. Um, their prospect pool definitely got a lot deeper. They sold every pending free agent other than Ryan Yarbrough, who they got in the Kevin Kiermaier deal. But like this team still, like on paper, it's not like a terrible team, but they need a couple bats. You need Spencer Horwitz showed you what he can do in limited opportunities last year. Obviously, Bichette didn't stay on the field last year. He's led the league in hits twice. So obviously he's like an all-star caliber guy. You got Vlad, you got Springer, Wagner was okay when he played, and Ernie Clement played a solid third base. But if you're a serious baseball team, and this is absolutely no disrespect to Ernie Clement, if you have World Series aspirations, you cannot go into the season with Ernie Clement as your everyday third base. You just can't. He's a great bench piece, and he's a great piece to get guys off their feet when they need a break. But he's a bench bat, and he hit 12 homers last year. He had a good year, but if you have a chance to add Bregman, I think you have to do it.
Yeah, before we move on, I just look at this lineup right now, and obviously, you would hope that if they get Bregman, they're also getting like a Santander because
Yeah,
that means if they're going for Soto and they miss out on him,
right.
they have an abundance of money to put into multiple players. And I think, I mean, they're meeting with Soto right now. That's what they should be doing. It shouldn't be. I know Juan Soto's 26. I know, he fits that young core, but again, Bo and Vlad are not inked up right now. The first thing you got to do before the winter meetings is get Vladimir Guerrero Jr. inked up.
Like here's
You
the
put
thing.
you
Here's where I think like if you're going into a meeting with Juan Soto or say it's an Alex Bregman, a Vladimir Guerrero extension should be a bargaining chip. Be like, hey, this guy just signed 10 years to commit to our franchise. This is who we're going to build our team around. Like, the Jays have no plan right now, man. Like it's frustrating. Like last season, they got caught up in this Otani, and they lost out on Soto from the Padres, and they ended up with a 39-year-old Justin Turner. And like that's like Plan E for the Jays. Like they struck out on Otani. They didn't have a plan B, D, C. So like if you're gonna be serious about Juan Soto and like everybody knows the Jays have a lot of money to give to a Juan Soto, but like you can't get too distracted up in the Juan Soto sweepstakes and miss out on the Bregmans and the Santanders. Like you had to have a plan B and C, and the Jays didn't have that last offseason. So as a Jays fan, I hope they learn from their mistakes.
yeah, and I don't want to go too much longer on the Jays, but the last thing I will say is they've been linked to a lot of arms in free agency early, and that just quite frankly just doesn't make sense for where they're at right now.
Unless you're
But
making a trade.
yeah, I mean, again, don't want to stay on the Jays all night because I know you can talk about it all day. So let's move on to your real favorite team, the New York
Well,
Yankees.
easy, easy. Come on. Our favorite
The
teams. We picked them to win the World Series.
Yeah, that didn't work out. So, yeah, this is what the Yankees are looking like these days. They have Oswaldo Cabrera at third base. Obviously, if they go and sign Juan Soto, I wouldn't imagine that they go and get an Alex Bregman
Mhm.
because they're gonna have Judge and Soto locked up to very lucrative deals, right? So, and plus you got to add that Stanton money in there too. So, I mean, let's go before we go. Let's just go to the payroll. Let's see where they're. Not that maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it does. I don't know. I mean, they're already at 245. They're over the luxury tax already.
Yeah.
You know, 241 is the luxury tax. So they lost Rizzo, or they potentially can lose Rizzo. Glaber's a free agent. Verdugo's a free agent. Soto's a free agent. Um, Clay Holmes. They need to bolster this bullpen,
Yeah.
right? I mean, this is not a good bullpen right now. The rotation should be fine from where it's at right now. We'll get you there, and then you can maybe make a trade at the deadline.
Mhm.
Um, the bench is pretty thin right now. Um, yeah, I mean, if you're signing Soto, you're giving up. something somewhere. Or you're being the big bad Yankees and you sign everybody, you don't care about money. You're just doesn't matter,
Right.
set it all on fire. Like it doesn't matter. You're the big boys again. And I don't know if the Yankees are the big boys again, but like coming off a World Series loss, they were that close, right? They were that close. They have an opportunity to go supplement their roster with more defensive players, which hurt them in the playoffs,
Yep.
and add a Juan Soto. So, you know, if they're in the mindset of we're the big bad Yankees, maybe you can see a Bregman who just won a Gold Glove and a Soto, and it's all in. Chips are in. We're gonna
Yep.
go do this.
Yep.
We paid Judge, we paid Soto. Let's go get Bregman. We still have a young Austin Wells behind the plate. We have, Anthony Volpe at shortstop. Stanton showed some spark in the postseason. You can give Jason Dominguez that opportunity in the outfield next year, and
And you got
just,
a full year
he
of
takes over
Jazz.
Verdugo. Yeah, now you have Jazz. It's a young team. Eventually when Judge gets, to the back part of his career, it's Soto's team. He's the vet. It makes sense. Obviously this video is about Alex Bregman. I don't want to go off the rails with Soto, but if they miss out on Soto, then they absolutely have to go get Alex Bregman.
Yeah, I
I think
agree.
it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, like their off season relies around Juan Soto. There's a Juan Soto plan, and then there's a without Juan Soto plan. They have kind of two payrolls because you were looking at the payroll. It's at 245 projected. If you had Juan Soto, he's going to be making 45 to 50 million. You're already over 300 million dollars right now.
Yeah,
So
you're
that's a
going for it.
you're going for it. And at that point, you're at 300 million. You might as well sign an Alex Bregman, right? You've already gone that far. You might as well just keep pushing the chips in. But yeah, they need an Alex Bregman in this lineup, 100,000%. And I think it'd be a great fit with this roster.
Yeah, I can see them potentially trying to move a Marcus Stroman to get underneath, some money and pitching a young guy or getting somebody with lesser value on the
Right.
free agent market. Um,
Do you think they were kind of like wishing that, like, obviously Garrett Cole is their ace, but on the same time, like maybe they could have used that $36 million on the offense. Like they were like, we wouldn't be mad if he opted out, but they were like, that's a lot of money that we can use elsewhere.
they 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 chose to bring him back. I mean,
Right.
he opted out. They could have said, "All right, see you later." And they
That is
said,
true.
"Do you want to stay on your regular deal?" And they said, "Yes." So I don't think that gives me the idea that they don't care about going over the luxury tax right
Right.
now, that they're
Yeah.
in a window
Yeah.
and they're just going to go and they're just going to do it. And it is what it is. And again, when you go to the playoffs, you make extra money. Maybe they're like, hey, we just got playoff revenue money. It doesn't matter. It's going to pay for the luxury tax anyway. We're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So, um, they're going to it's going to be tough until about 2029 or 2028 when Stanton comes off. That's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
So, um, it, who's going to take 30 million of DJ LeMahieu? Probably
Nobody.
nobody,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
is DJ LeMahieu worth potentially trading and saving 10 million? I don't know. I guess it just comes down to how much, you're really pinching pennies. Like if you're like really trying to detail, we can use this 10 million on something else.
Right.
That's what I'm talking about. If you go and trade Stroman, that would make sense to me. I know he's
Right.
gonna eat innings,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't know what Cole's arm's gonna be
He
like
didn't pitch
next
it
year.
much. They didn't use him in the postseason, which was like, hey, this guy's gonna be on your roster last year. Like, I'd be pretty pissed if I was Marcus Stroman right now.
18 mil not to pitch in the playoffs. So
Yeah, like yeah, I'd be pretty pissed if I was Marcus Stroman. Like they gave this guy a contract and they didn't utilize him in the playoffs at all. So for him, that's kind of a kick in the nuts to be honest. But yeah, the offense, they definitely need a couple pieces for sure.
the only thing I will say with Alex Bregman entering, obviously being on this team, and it's not like it really matters because how it stands, it's another right-handed bat. Do you want to go spend money on more right-handed bats? They got more left-handed last year and they went to the World Series.
Right. No,
I mean,
that's a great
you
point.
know, so but yeah, let's move on to my sleeper pick for Alex Bregman, and that's the Los Angeles Dodgers. Um, this is where I'm at. Max Muncy is 34 years old. He did not play great defense last year.
Yeah.
They're saying Mookie back to the infield right now. I don't know what that means. Maybe they're gonna go try to add some outfield. Teoscar is a free agent, so you're gonna have to replace his production. And I think if you're gonna go replace Teoscar, who is there to hit homers and drive in runs, might as well replace him with a Gold Glove third baseman, where you struggled last year defensively, and you're gonna get the production of Teoscar Hernandez potentially. Maybe not the home run wise, but it's going to be pretty close. Alex Bregman hits home runs. He drives and runs.
Yeah.
So let's kill two birds with one stone. We need a more defensive-handed third baseman, and we got to replace Teoscar's production.
Yeah, no, that's honestly like when you said that to me, that's outside the box thinking, which is great. The Dodgers didn't come to mind. They weren't on my radar for Alex Bregman, but the more you think about it, the more it makes sense that and obviously the Dodgers got a lot of money. They can get whoever they want. But you had a Gold Glove third base to that right side of that infield, or pardon me, left side of the infield. Yeah, that would be the rich get richer, and that just makes the lineup even deeper for sure.
And I hate to say this too, and who knows if Alex Bregman is a borderline Hall of Famer one day, which right now the way his trajectory of his career is going, he's going to be in that conversation one day. And you have that cheating scandal, we don't know what the repercussions of that cheating scandal is going to be when it comes to down the road. If they're just going to be like, Altuve, yeah, he's in. Or are they going to treat it like Bonds with steroids, right? I'm
Yeah,
thinking if you go and you put Alex Bregman in LA around Shohei Ohtani, who's beloved, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman, and he just spends the rest of his career in LA and he takes on, he's basically a better Justin Turner for them.
yeah,
You can look at the tail of his career in two different ways. Obviously, he's gonna have opportunity to drive and runs. People are gonna be getting him base. You can put him in between all those guys. I don't know. I just think that this is the perfect fit. Not only baseball wise, but second to that, image wise. And I don't think Alex Bregman's a bad dude. He's one of my favorite players, and I'm an Angels fan. So,
yeah.
um, I'm just saying we don't know what's going to happen one day when he's trying to get into the hall. And if I'm looking at it and we're going, hey, this is the best case scenario for one, you to go continue to put up the numbers you want to put up, and two, um, be a part of a couple World Series teams potentially,
Right.
and not be known just for you have that cheating scandal ring. Obviously, they won one more. But you'd be like, hey, I got two other rings with the Dodgers too. I'm a championship player, which he is. So,
Okay, so let's where is Alex Bregman gonna go? If you had to pick right now, where would you have a home for him?
well, spoiler alert, you just heard me. I'm going with the Dodgers. I think that this is like, if it's not the Dodgers, it's probably the Astros. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't think the Yanks, Tigers. I don't think that I mean, if I'm Alex Bregman and the Dodgers are offering me 24 million and the Tigers are offering me 26, I'm eating the 2 mil.
Right.
I get it. California taxes and all that, but he's on the other side of 30. Do you want to win, which he's already done, or do you want to go be a leader for the Detroit Tigers who might not ever get there? I mean, they
Yeah, I
might, I don't
mean,
know, but
if you have a chance to be in a lineup with Otani, Betts, and Freeman, I think that would be incredibly hard to turn down. So,
yeah.
I think if I had to pick, he's going to go in Yankee pinstripes. I think that if they don't get Juan Soto, I think they're going to go after him hard.
Alrighty, well, that's gonna do it for this one. We just did a top 50 free agent prediction. That's gonna be down below after this video. If you want to click on that one, spoiler, I chose Alex Bregman of the Dodgers. But there's 49 other free agents to go here. Mine and Blake's predictions on that one. But yeah, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And it's gonna do it for this one. We'll see you on the next one. Later.